Hey, this is Mike Daling. Watch a new episode of All American this Monday at 8/7 Central.
Now at 10, tragedy on the Hudson. A tourist helicopter falls out of the sky, killing all 6 people on board, including 3 children. The latest on what went wrong.
Plus, donuts on the freeway in the middle of the day, in the middle of traffic. The bizarre freeway stunt that sends the suspected DUI driver straight to jail.
And only on 5, shocking surveillance video of a jewelry heist in progress. See how a family distracts a store clerk and manages to get away with a diamond ring worth thousands. Now on the news at 10. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman.
And I'm Sandra Mitchell. Cher has the night off. A helicopter tour over New York City turns to tragedy when the chopper breaks apart in midair and crashes into the Hudson River.
All 6 people on board, an executive with Siemens in Spain, his wife and their 3 children, as well as the pilot, were killed. The helicopter crashed just 15 minutes after it departed from the Wall Street heliport. Tonight, investigators are searching the Hudson River for pieces of that helicopter to try and figure out what went so terribly wrong.
Chris Wolf is here now with the latest on who was on board and really dramatic video of that crash. Chris?
Yeah, it certainly is. Sandy and Micah, what a tragic story. Witnesses say they felt absolutely helpless after watching the helicopter break apart in midair and then slam into the water. Some people contemplated jumping into the Hudson River, while others called 911. A deadly helicopter crash in New York City was captured on camera this Thursday as the aircraft broke apart in flight and slammed into the Hudson River.
The propeller just exploded and scattered. Oh my God, oh my God. And then we were scrambling. We were like, what do we do? Do we call 911? I mean, how can we get these people help?
Authorities say a pilot was flying a man identified as Agustin Escobar, an executive with the Spanish division of global technology company Siemens, his wife, and their 3 young children on a sightseeing tour. 2 of the victims survived the initial impact, but later died at the hospital.
We were met by the first responders and they told us they did everything they can to try to save these victims. And you can see the trauma in their face. They did everything they can, and they wanted me to make sure that I made that public.
Everyone agrees it is far too early to know what happened. However, witness accounts point to some kind of failure of the helicopter's rotor blades, resulting in the tail being chopped off midair, causing the cabin and cockpit to plunge upside down into the Hudson River.
Tail rotor failure, or the main one.
Aviation expert Ross Amer says airspace over New York City is extremely congested, making the job of sightseeing helicopter pilot more challenging.
It kind of bothers me is there's such a demanding job flying these helicopters, and they're single pilot operation. That what makes it much harder, because they have to be watching for traffic and flying the airplane and also be a tour guide at the same time.
The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the crash investigation.
One of the first things they would do is look into the maintenance history with this particular tour operator, their pilot experience and training records.
Aviation experts say that every accident, every crash must serve as a learning experience to improve industry safety. I'm Chris Wolf. Micah, Sandy, back to you.
Chris, thank you. Scary moments for passengers aboard 2 American Airways jets at Reagan National Airport today when their planes clipped wings taxiing on the tarmac. Officials say at least 6 members of Congress were on board one of the planes when they made contact. Nobody was hurt. American Airlines says the damage was limited to the winglets of the 2 planes, and both aircraft were taken out of service to be inspected. The airline apologized to its customers, saying safety is the top priority.
A Russian-American ballerina who was held in Russia for 15 months is back in the United States tonight after being released as part of a prisoner swap. Ksenia Karolina arrived at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland tonight and into the arms of her awaiting fiancé. The 33-year-old ballet dancer who was living in Los Angeles was serving a 12-year sentence after being convicted of treason. She was accused of organizing fundraisers for Ukraine's military when she donated about $50 to a group that sends assistance to Ukraine. Authorities took Karolina into custody while she was visiting relatives in Russia in 2023. The Kremlin released her in exchange for a Russian detained on export control violations.
Stocks take another big dive as investor fears grow over America's deepening trade war with one of its biggest trading partners, China. The Wall Street sell-off accelerated after the Trump White House said the tariffs imposed on China were being raised to 145%, not the 125% that it previously indicated.
As the uncertainty about the economy continues, concerns about a possible recession grow. KTLA's John Fenolio with a closer look at today's head-spinning developments. John.
Mike Andrew, that's right. The watch continues. President Trump today acknowledging there will be a transition cost for Americans as a result of his tariffs. Economists warn those costs will be paid by importers who will pass them on to American consumers.
Tonight, another down day on Wall Street over growing fears of an increasingly unstable economic landscape.
We had a big day yesterday. There'll always be transition, difficult.
Wednesday's stock market rebound all but wiped out as President Trump's deepening trade war with China continues to rattle investors. The White House saying today the tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the U.S. now at a stunning 145%. The Dow closing down more than 1,000 points. The S&P 500, often tied to 401ks, down 188 points. The NASDAQ also down more than 737 points.
Well, we'll see what happens with China. We would love to be able to work it out. We've really taken advantage of our for a long period of time.
Mr. Trump would not say if China's president has reached out to him. A spokesperson for the Chinese Commerce Secretary telling reporters, quote, "The door is open for talks," adding, China will fight till the end. China also announcing it's immediately restricting imports of Hollywood films. China is the world's second largest movie market. The president announced a 90-day pause on his sweeping tariffs for some 85 other countries Wednesday. That sent markets soaring as investors breathed a sigh of relief. But it didn't last long.
I think everyone's just in a holding pattern. So while this is coming quickly, I think it's going to take a long time to remedy until decision makers at corporations and large businesses have clarity on where they should be putting their investment dollars and their capital expenditures. This could take a long time to unwind and restore relationships with other countries.
Before the market closed, the president asked if he would reinstate his massive tariffs after 90 days.
Well, that's what would happen. I mean, if we can't make the deal that we want to make or we have to make or that's, good for both parties, it's got to be good for both parties. And then we go back to where we were.
There was some good news today. The consumer price index for March beat expectations. The annual inflation rate hit 2.4%, a 6-month low. However, those March numbers were collected before the president announced his sweeping global tariffs last week. In the News Center, I'm John Fenolio. Back to you.
John, thank you. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the government must facilitate the return of a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The High Court says that the Trump administration must try to return Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia to the U.S. despite the government's